The Dolomites in northern Italy are a UNESCO World Heritage Site, famous for limestone peaks that rise high above the valley floor and lakes that change color throughout the day. People from all over the world come to take in the incredible beauty. We headed there in the fall and day hiked some of the most popular trails like Cinque Torri and Tre Cime, and we hiked quieter trails too. Over 5 days, we hiked 6 trails that ranged from 4 to 10 miles each. And since we mostly ate lunch at refugios along the trails, we only needed to carry the lightest of packs with not much more than a jacket and a bottle of water. Some people call refugios huts, but it's more accurate to call them guest houses or hostels for hikers. They provide shelter and homemade meals along trails and hiking routes. I highly recommend them. On our first day, we drove from our apartment in Cortina about 40 minutes north to the town of Dobbiaco. And since German is spoken as widely as Italian in the Dolomites, it's also known by its German name, Toblach. Despite having 2 languages to choose from, we couldn't find an easy place to park, so we stopped at the visitor center where they explained that we could park for free in the sports center parking lot. Then we were on our way.
We're going from here to here and then around the lake and then back to the north.
The hike is about 4.5 flat miles in all, with trail signs and a clear path too, and then around the lake. There are lots of trails heading in various directions if you're looking for something longer and steeper. But with our jet lag in mind, we took it easy and enjoyed the views of the lake and its surroundings. This was the perfect first hike. Our first hike only took a couple hours, so afterwards we drove about 10 miles to Lago de Bryce. This lake, also known by its German name, Prager Wildsee, is one of the most beautiful in the Dolomites. The lake's renowned beauty comes at a cost. It's become so overcrowded that in the summer months the lake can only be accessed by bus, with reservations made in advance, similar to some crowded national parks in the U.S. But by our mid-September visit, that road restriction had ended, and we drove up to the paid parking area. The 3-mile hike around the lake is flat and wide. Yes, there are plenty of people even on a mid-afternoon weekday in September, but most of them don't venture beyond taking a picture of the view from the boathouse. The trail around the lake is quiet by comparison.
That was cold as I thought. But I bet if you get a few feet in, it's pretty cold.
After a full day of hiking around lakes, we headed back to Cortina. And dinner. On day 2, we headed about 20 minutes south of Cortina to the Ponte di Rucorto parking area to hike to Croda del Lago, a head wall that towers over a small alpine lake. The parking area is small, but when we got there at about 10 in the morning, there were spaces still available, which probably wouldn't have been the case if it was the busy summer season. The trail is clearly marked and easy to follow. There are beautiful views of the valley and the nearby mountains along the way, including Cinque Torri in the distance. At the lake, we stopped and ate our lunch. We also could have walked over to the Refugio Palmieri and had a delicious homemade meal. I don't know why we didn't, because our puny sandwiches were no match to the nice meal we could have had. After walking around the lake, we headed back the way we came, enjoying the perfect weather and the views of Cortina in the valley below on this 6.25 mile long hike. Our next hike was the 5-mile loop up to the Cinque Torri rock formation, starting at the Bai di Dona ski lift parking area, about 30 minutes south of Cortina. Cinque Torri means 5 towers, and they can be seen for miles. We headed up the trail counterclockwise, though you can take the ski lift up and back if you want to. We took our time to enjoy the views. That's amazing. If you want a longer hike, you have plenty of options once you get near the Rifugio Scoiattoli. That's where we stopped for some tiramisu before heading along the second half of the route. The second half is quite different from the first. We passed under the 5 towers. And then we hiked through restored trenches. These trenches were constructed to provide shelter for soldiers protecting the mountain paths below during World War I. It's hard to imagine how cold and difficult life was for the soldiers during that time. We picked up the trail again and hiked the last mile, passing by the Bai di Donas Lake, which is actually more of a small pond. Then it was back to Cortina and another great Italian meal. Tre Cime, or Drei Zinnen in German, means 3 peaks. The name is from the 3 massive rocky prominences that rise up from the surrounding area. This 6.5-mile loop hike is so popular that, just like at Lago de Brais, there's a limit on the number of vehicles allowed up the road. We paid our entry fee and found a parking space near the Rifugio Ronzo. Put on all our layers and headed up the trail. The trail is quite wide in most places, and the hike isn't steep because essentially you simply circle around the base of the 3 peaks. Sometimes we could see the peaks through the clouds, and sometimes we couldn't. Just as we were getting a little cold, we came upon the Rifugio Malgalangam. We stopped for a bowl of hot soup and a glass of cold beer, and then, nicely warmed up, enjoyed the last mile of gorgeous views. We celebrated with a piece of apple strudel at the Rifugio Aranzo and then headed on our way. Our last hike, and my favorite, was the 10-mile loop hike to Prato Piazza, Placewiese in German. In English, it means open field or broad meadow, and the scenery was very different than on our other hikes. We parked at Cimabanche. The trail went up along a creek and was easy to follow. And after a couple of miles, the path widened into a flat farm road, and we strolled along to the Prato Piazza, the meadow. Needless to say, there was a Rifugio with homemade meals. Then we looped back along a gentle farm road. The last mile of trail was blocked by a cow pasture, so we slogged back to our car through a dry riverbed, happy that we had had this week of hiking in the Dolomites. So there you have it, 6 of the most popular hikes in the Eastern Dolomites. In the description section below, I'll leave more information about each one. Hiking in Europe is a different experience than hiking in the States. If you have a chance to go, you'll be able to see these differences for yourself. I hope you'll get out there and take a nice hike in that unique and wonderful world of hiking in Italy.
We took a left here.
Uh-huh.
So ready to do it again?